if you are all in agreement, we need a motion for adoption of the agenda. Moved by Roussel, seconded by Hector. All in favor, against, carried. Are there items on the agenda that could put you into conflict of interest? If there are none, there are three presentations: 2015-2016 audited financial statements. Paul, you have the statements before you. We met with the audit committee. I'll be making a high level. The reason that I'm here, your microphone is on, but it isn't working very well. Just lift it up a bit. That's better. That's better. Is it working now? Yes. So if there are any questions at any point, do not hesitate to ask them. That's why I'm here. These are the financial statements. If you look on page 1, Independent Auditor's Report, that's our report. The financial statements, we have finished our auditing. This is an opinion without qualification. We have found nothing which would cause any problems with the financial statements. If we go to page 4, we see that this is the consolidated statement of operations. These are the operations for the municipality for the year ended March 31st. We had a budget of we had a revenue expenses at $6,473,000. We finished with $6,454,000. If we hadn't taken the so this has been a good idea. One of the big points is that when we have a grant for capital grants for the sewer in Meteghan, for example, so that explains the under grants, but it's not in the budget. If we can go to page 24 now, this one gives us details under different headings. If we look at taxes, total at the bottom of the page, 5 million were, and we had almost exactly the same amount received under actual. Very close. If we look under residential, the rate did not change, and we went from 4 million so we had a 2.5% increase for residential. So that indicates what happened to assessments in the municipality. So assessments went up by 2.5%. We see an increase in commercial, which goes from 1.369 million to 1.369, pretty close. We see another point, which is an indication, which is what's happening in the municipality. We see transfer taxes. So that went from 72,000 to 93,000. That's an indication there is more activity in the municipality. There's more transactions. Grants in lieu of taxes went down a little bit. Went from 129 to 115. We go to page 25 now. Landfill tipping fees, 200 and we budgeted 278,000. The plant that we had before was has now been closed, but when we look at expenses, there were about 15,000 more than we collected, so we're behind by only $15,000. Other revenue from owned sources, we can see that there's 462,000 compared to 353,000. There are differences in rentals and the Clare Health Centre. Tourism was not foreseen, but we collected $20,000 from doers and dreamers. This year we separated the revenue for recreation, Grand Fondo. We had a revenue of 71,000 and we spent 86,000. We had on CBC they were talking about the Grand Fondo that's taking place this weekend. It was really good what was said on the radio this morning. Unconditional transfers from other governments. What we see there is that our municipal grant, we had more grants than were expected, 80,000. A special grant was and we had a grant for the Legion. We spent a lot of money on the Legion as well. Conditional transfers, these have to do with the COA. There's 606,000 there. There's interest. We collected 158,000. Return on the penalties and return on investments. Total revenue. $7 million compared to 6.7 million. We turn the page now. Page 26, General Government Services. We spent $1.5 million about. This cost us in administration. We have savings. We had budgeted 676,000. We spent 593,000. Some things for staffing went through a little more slowly than we thought, and that resulted in from savings. And we see signs of good fiscal management here. Other government, general government services, 124,000 budgeted, 124,000 real. Protective services, we budgeted $1,176,000. We spent a little bit less on the RCMP. There aren't any other big changes. Okay.
If you go on page 27, transportation, we spent a much more money there because that would have been budgeted. We spent 104 rather than 98,000. There was engineering cost for roads. There were minor roads that we spent about 17,000. That was not foreseen. Environment health services, 1,503,000, and we had budgeted 1,503,000. If we see collections, 384 was we were only 21,000 over what we had budgeted last year. In other categories, we saved. We cost us less money than what we had spent last year, and we spent 41,000 that came out of operations on landfill closure costs. So this has to do with what's occurring at the landfill. This is something that we'll be seeing for a while. Public health and welfare. The main variance there is the Clare Health Center cost us. We had 42,000 more than budgeted. We didn't have to spend that much money on doctor recruitment. The year before there was a new doctor that came and it cost us more, but this year we saved money, about $78,000 that we saved. Environmental development services, we spend 273 compared to 250,000. When you look at the grant fund though, that we have a typo, it shouldn't, it should be 86,000. So if somebody wants this will be fixed for the grant fund though, and before it's sent to the province. We had grants of about 71,000 and we spent 86,000, but the grant fund costs us a bit more. So the 8,536 should be $85,000. 360. It's just that item that needs to be changed. Recreation and cultural services on page 28. When you look these headings, most of the headings are as we had foreseen. When I said earlier there was a revenue that we removed, so the net amount of what was spent is pretty near what we had budgeted. What we had gotten out we had taken out 21,000, so our net cost is less than last year, but a bit more than what had been budgeted. We see that the Clare Legion, there was a lot of repairs that were done there. We had budgeted 40,000 and spent 124,000. Eco Park, we didn't spend the $70,000. We just spent about 37,000. So in that category, that's why it's because of the Clare Legion that under that heading is a bit higher than what we had budgeted. Yarmouth International Airport Corporation, we put the money. There's another 40,000 that will have to go there. So these are the revenues and the expenses. I don't know if there are questions at this point. If not, we can go back to page 4. That gave us the breakdown of what we're finishing with our annual budget of 680,000. If we go to page 4, this gives us the position of the financial position of the municipality in Clare at March 31st, 2016. When we look at the amount that finds our position, it is the net financial aspect that reflects this situation, and it's quite in good health with $1 million. If we look at what we did last year in capitals, we spent about $1 million. on the Michigan sewer, 35,000 in the Bellevos Cove, and another amount. But we have then, regardless of all this, we have come up front with $68,000, so I think it's a good hint that we're in good health. This is the amount that we would look at to compare with other municipalities to situate us if rather we're average compared to other municipalities. So this indicates that we're in pretty good health. If we see that the total we have on cash, our taxes has gone 405 to 488,000. So there's something. This gives us an indication that there are companies or organizations that have a little bit difficulty to pay us as fast as in previous years. If we see that the fire department has, we're collecting this through area rates for the fire departments. We bought some equipment from the capital funds. Other receivables are from the 712. The reason it has gone up is the Michigan sewer extension that was received after the end of the fiscal year. So if you go back on page 5, the other amounts that we see that there were outstanding moments that had to pertaining to capital projects, the landfill, $303,000, which will pay for costs in the future to continue to monitor the landfill site. Long-term debt, we can see if we go at item 7 on page 19, the only debt the municipality has at this point has gone down from $179,000. So there was this amount that was acquired to 179. The other amount we see in deferred reference, deferred payment, this is seen like a kind of equity. Majority of what is represented there is the amount that we receive from the gas tax that we have not spent. So now, because this amount that was received for the gas tax has to be spent for specific items, doesn't come into no revenue, but at the end of the day, if you have expenses that qualify for this, it will be taken out of this amount. This $400,000 really belongs to the $1 million. So I see that we see $1,900,000. So this is the position that we're in today.
If you can look into the notes, through the notes that we dealt with the auditing committee, I think these are well explained, and that's my presentation. If you have any questions at this point, I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you, Paul. We went over this with the committee last evening. If someone looked at the consolidated statements they might say that we have a surplus of $1 million and we could tax $1 million less, but in this million there's a 600,000 that's revenue from the Metagan sewer, and the expenses are not showed for this year because they're capitalized at the point where there's a bit of a mismatch because of the date at which these things have to be done. So if there are amounts that will come out of reserves which will show the true situation. If we had tax the $350,000 isn't in the, it only goes from one fund to another. This is so that the public will understand that if we have a surplus, the real surplus would be 300,000. Are there any other questions? No questions? I think when we have a good report, there are no questions. This is a really good situation. We're always looking for a surplus. We need a surplus to have money when we need it, when there are infrastructure projects like those that Mr. Trudeau is putting forward. You cannot have grants unless you have money to put into the projects. So it's necessary to have a surplus in order to participate in these projects. And this can improve the services in the municipality. So this is why it's not really a matter of taxing more than we need to. We need these amounts because when projects come, we have to put our share into them. It's a big advantage. And other municipalities are not in such a good position. If there are no other questions, thank you very much for the presentation. We now go to point 4, 4.1 minutes of July the 20th. I'm looking for the regular council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? A motion is in order to adopt them. Moved by Neil, seconded by Danny. All in favor? Against? Carried. 4.2, 24th August, special session of council. Are there any errors or omissions? Moved by Lester, seconded by Hector. All in favor? Against? Carried. 4.3, 7th of September, council and committee meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? Moved by Danny, seconded by Russell. All in favor? Contrary? Carried. 5.5, business arising from previous council meetings. Cultural Hub Center, SIFA building. This is a follow-up on the preceding meeting. We estimated that it would cost $200,000, but we are studying the expenses. Arnold was able to do this work, and the expenses are less high than we thought. It'll be more like $175,000 for the entire project. But we have included an amount for unforeseen expenses, so we are confident we are be able to complete it for less than $200,000. You have a list of what we propose for the building. This was determined in discussion with organizations who interested in renting space. We also included a photograph to give you an idea of what it would look like. The two major items: a new metal roof and a new entrance. The entrance will be about 12 feet long. There will be cement, landscaping, lamp posts, white clapboard, and there will be other work that needs to be done. We'll have further illustrations, but this gives you a certain idea of what we're proposing. The space is going to be filled. Yes, there's a festival that will take the courtroom, the old courtroom, and the association called FRAP will be sharing space with the festival, and there's the Association of Indians and Métis will occupy some space, and we are discussing with the Courrier, the weekly newspaper. It's not finalized, but there is interest. The festival is already there. If the Courrier comes, then we will be full to capacity. What is the percentage for the municipality? 25%? Yes, we're aiming at that. This was discussed at the last meeting, and we'll adopt it this evening. We estimated 200,000, and we were thinking of a municipal contribution up to 50%, up to a maximum of 100,000. This allows us to go ahead with the project, but our intention would be 50 from the federal, 25 from the province, and 25 from the municipality. Thank you. Are there other questions? We go to 5.2, Société Acadienne de Clare, Monument for Those Lost at Sea. This is a letter that we received today from the Acadian Society. It's not included under correspondence, but if you allow me, it concerns the place that the monument will be located. We've been working on this subject for 3 years. We met on the 25th of August. We studied a letter from the municipality on the 11th of August 2016. Concerning the physical location, there are still members of our committee that would like to place the monument on route number 1, and others would like it to be at the Smuggler's Cove Park. Unfortunately, the ad hoc committee was unable to arrive at a consensus. No one wanted to be the owners of this monument and to be responsible for its maintenance in the chosen location. In the letter received from the municipality on the 11th of August, we understand that the municipality is ready to take ownership of the monument and to assume civil responsibility for maintenance of the monument if we agree to place it at the lighthouse site at Cape St. Mary. The committee was unable to find a site acceptable to all its members. Some members want to support the offer of the municipal council. Given that we are unlikely to arrive at a consensus, 5 of the 8 members on the 25th of August 2016 accept the site at Cape St. Mary. We will therefore ask the council to install the monument there, and when the municipality will have acquired the land, and we ask that the municipality accept the responsibility for maintenance, etc., when the monument will be installed there.
We asked the council to put a temporary sign on the site of this, and it would indicate where this would be placed eventually. We think that this monument would be inaugurated in 2017 in the spring. We encourage municipal council to pursue the nautical work at that place, and we wish to continue to work with council regarding this project that is very important for the class. And cordially, this is signed by the 5 members of the ad hoc committee. Just to be clear, I know I had this discussion a few times. The project is a project of the Société Acadienne de Clare. They have asked for a grant from the municipality. The committee said it was their project and the right to put it where they wanted, but the fact that the committee wanted that the municipality, because the recommendation of the CEO, it had to be on the municipal land for questions of insurance. I wanted to be clear to the public that the committee had the right to put it where they wanted to put it, but they chose to ask the municipality to maintain the site. So I don't think essentially, I don't know if you have to make a motion. I'd be ready to make the motion that we accept that the owners of the monument would place it at Cap Sainte Marie as soon as this the land becomes the property of the municipality. If now all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Motion carried. Then is number 6, Warden's activity report. I'll try to go quite rapidly. If you have any questions, you can ask them for more details. On July 22nd, I went to a meeting with a group of John Ferguson on telephone. There was a Department of Business to discuss the role the municipalities could play to advance the rural broadband project, and if we should continue to work for an agreement between the municipalities. On August 16, Trudeau came to Bridgetown to announce infrastructure projects. We were one of the projects. There was quite a few. Our project was the betterment of the sewer system, which would be around $200,000, split by the federal and the provincial. On the 20th of August, I presented, played a gala for the 50th anniversary of the golf course, and there was a council for the CD&E. On the 5th of September, there was a sign for the Société Acadienne, an interpretation sign that was commemorate the order of the deportation, which was September 5th, 1755. September 7th, I made an interview with André Magny, who was working for Francofest, freelancer, to talk about the network of francophones and francophiles of America. He wanted to see if we were still involved with this. On 8th September, there was another meeting in Halifax with John Ferguson's group and the Department of Business to talk about rural broadband, and I think Stefan would like to give us more details regarding this. I talk about it in my report a bit. 13th September, I went a tour of Tide Viteras in Digby for continuing care. They have a really nice facility there. On September 10th, there was a meeting of the Committee of Recruitment of Doctors for Weymouth, and they see that there should be a public meeting in Weymouth to advise public what is being done in this regard. On the 19th of December, there was the general meeting of the Société Acadienne, and this was at Evelina. This is the general lines of my report on broadband. There were meetings before. It's not going ahead very fast because what the municipalities propose to do essentially, and Stefan may be able to help me here, is that the province itself have come out with an ISP to keep a management team to look at the development of rural broadband. So I think maybe in October we'll have another meeting where the people will get together again to see if the municipalities have a role to play with this. I don't know if you want to add this. The municipalities present, there seems to be a consensus that the municipalities are best placed to bring forth this project, but the province, it's part of their strategy, so it remains to be seen whether we can really work with the administration team. There's a possibility to position an intermunicipal agreement in this end of the province as a pilot project. There seems to be a bit of interest for this, but for now this team is not in place, and we're gonna wait to see what they think about this before we go forward. Are there any other questions? So is the broadband up as far as Middleton now? So what we need is to have an infrastructure from Middleton up to here. There was no name for John Ferguson's group, but it would be to have fiber optic that would go around in Queens and would cross the province where Keji is. So if the fiber breaks, it would go on each side. So you could put it on the Trans-Canada. That's where all the high speed would go, and the industries could hook up and give services to the public for a certain price. Or financing. Does the federal have money for this? And does the province have any? In the federal budget there was $500 million, and the province has $6 million. So with the $6 million that the province has must be spent before the 31st of March. So it's be spent on the management. Has to establish a strategy in terms of the 500 million of the federal. I don't know exactly how it will be distributed in the region. So there would be a possibility to have part of this money. The idea, that's where all the municipalities, that the message that came from the federal government said that it would go through the municipalities, similar to the gas taps, and we could use this to establish a base of broadband, but they did not accept our criteria.
The companies like Eastlink and MTNT would be connected to this, or smaller companies. They could put the idea. It's a little complicated than what I can explain. When there are a lot of houses, if you create the infrastructure, essentially you say you can have access to this infrastructure if you connect people to it. That's what the government is trying to do, is to create a business case for the private sector. That's how I understand it. The model that the municipalities are supposing are individualized solutions for each municipality. So each municipality will be able to decide on the best solution for it. The kind of terrain, is it more rural than urban? The solution for Yarmouth is not the same necessarily as the one for Clare. Even though we are all part of one agreement, there is flexibility for each municipality. If we had access to a certain amount of federal money, we could say that that's the coverage we want, and if we apply for 9 million to do it, that would be, and say that's the service we would give. The federal government would create the business case, and each municipality can apply. But the criteria aren't 100% clear. The idea is good. Are there any other questions? 7 then. I'm looking for my agenda in French. Official statements from the members of council. If there are none, we move on to correspondence. 8.1, letter from Road Solar Lighting. Carl Lambert. If you allow me, I will read a few parts of the letter in English. They continue saying following. In the letter, they don't mention how much they might cost. We don't have lights. It's Nova Scotia Power that has them. In some cities, the municipality owns the lights. Are there any questions or comments? 8.2, thank you letter from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, English. 8.3, thank you letter from Denise Struard. I won't read the whole letter, but essentially here, when we launched the community cleanup program in the spring and the beginning of the summer to clean up the ditches, we would pay $150 per kilometer. There was a group which didn't know that this program had been set up, and they cleaned up a length of beach and sent us photographs. Given all the work they did, we gave them $150 nonetheless by way of a thank you for the work done. With this $150, they bought school supplies, which they gave to Juniper House for families which are unable to afford them. So we have a letter from Juniper House thanking the group and the municipality for this donation. It's a very nice letter. It's rather long, but essentially it's to emphasize the fact that the municipality contributed to that program and to thank the group for its work. Are there any comments? Next, letter from the Mayor of Oshawa, John Henry. This is a letter which I won't read in its entirety, but this letter comes from the Mayor of the City of Oshawa concerning a center of General Motors Canada and a project to hire 1,000 engineers to develop self-driving autonomous connected cars. Within the letter, the Mayor emphasizes the importance of this development for Ontario and the rest of Canada, the employment that would be created, etc. And he asks us for a support letter to be submitted to GM Autoplex so that GM will be able to continue the production of automobiles in the area. And this is important for Ontario, but for the rest of Canada as well. So as I can see, this letter was sent to all municipalities in Canada. We have not answered. The letter was sent out at the end of August. So you now have a chance to react to this request. I have a bit of difficulty in answering this letter. We have a letter from one city. There could be new factories built by GM in other cities, so I'm not sure whether we want to support particularly the city of Oshawa. We had the same discussion, Ronnie and I, and we were a little surprised at this letter. But the nature of the request, given that it's sent to all cities, that surprised us a bit. So we just let that go. And now letter 8.5 from Statistics Canada. I would like to thank your municipality for the strong support to the 2016 census. With the engagement of Canadians and unwavering support from municipal government, Statistics Canada achieved the best census ever. The response rate was 97.8%. It is the best ever recorded. 9 in 10 Canadian households completed the short and long questionnaire, and 68.3% is over the internet is undeniably one of the best censuses in the world.
Good.
The
These results are impressive, and 98.4% of the responses has give us high quality of information. Statistic Canada not to puts its efforts now to diffuse the results of this data, and we think this will be Canadians can access this data in the next 18 months. I would like to thank you very sincerely to for your staff, and signed by Dwayne R. Smith from Statistics Canada. The staff has worked only as a coordination with Fichel Terrio to put her into contact with different organizations in the community to help them to distribute the information booklets on the so these are nice numbers. Are there any questions regarding this letter? 8.6 this is a thank you from Raise to Trace. Thank you for the amount of grant that has been given to us, the members of our RICS. We would like to thank you for your generous contribution of $4,500. This will help us to continue our work on the trail. The work for this season will consider two aspects: installation of culverts in two places and to do some grading of one section of the trail. Please be assured that the trail is well used and it contributes to recreation in our area. Thank you very much. Sincerely yours, Roberto Rio. Are there any questions on this letter? So we go now to Stefan's report. Thank you. Michigan Sewer Treatment Plant, the project are going ahead. I said up to now there have not been any difficulties that we have to meet. All the work for the cement is finished. The work on the there are a few deficiencies, minor deficiencies, but they have already been repaired. Actually now we're waiting for a piece of equipment important. It's like the brain of the project, the polymer mixing unit, which will comes from Bishop Ward Technologies in Ontario and somewhere else in Nova Scotia. We hope to receive these pieces within the next 2 weeks, and once we receive these, we think we can complete the project in mid-October, so if everything goes well. For the garbage collection, there's a new contract that starts on October 1st. The new company, Wesco, will have 4 employees that will work here in the municipality, and it's for people from Clare. The company has also established an account in a local garage to maintain their equipment, and has also opened contacts with somebody to have supplied the gas. So they would like to have a supper of crew where they discussed the routes, which will essentially be the same as those that exist now. So they said that they would like to offer the best service possible. For the Veterans Center, we have submitted an application to ACOA to do the renovations of the restrooms and the installation of an electronic sign on the road to replace the sign that's there. Actually, the grant has been presented to ACOA, and we hope to get an answer within the next weeks. The amount in question is $110,000, and we have asked $55,000 from ACOA, and the municipality has always passed the municipality to provide the other 50%. The grant fund, though, which will be held this weekend, since here we had 880 people registered. If we consider the volunteers that will help us and that has helped us up to now to plan this weekend, and people from the organizing committee, the will be over 1,100 people in the community. So up to now it has been a good success. And also the accommodations in Clare are all filled up. Some are going also to the Grand in Yarmouth at the Pines and also at the conference center, but I don't have the number. And the bed banks in the municipality has been a big success for us, so everything seems to be going all right for the organization of the Grand Fondo. For the election 2016, this is just for the people who are listening. The votes, the polling dates, the electronic date will be start at the 7th of October until the 14th. The election day is on October 15th. Because of the those that have been held by acclamation, the day of the number of polling stations will be reduced to 4. The residents of District 1 who want to vote for the member of the school board must go to in District 2. The residents of District 3 who want to vote for the CSAP has to go in District 4. Residents of District 5 must go in District 6, and residents of District 7 must go to District 8, and this is to vote for just the members of the CSAP. The voting will be done by internet. The Cap Sainte-Marie Lighthouse, this project is going ahead. Parks Canada, we learned today, has designated this lighthouse as a heritage house lighthouse, which will be presented officially soon. DFO is also in the process of announcing to the public the cessation or the sale of the lighthouse according to legal aspects, and once this notice has been made public, the municipality will have 90 days before the agreement will be finished formally in the acquisition of the lighthouse. Meanwhile, we're working on a project with the ACOA to allow the municipality to extend the extent of the work that will be done there. We would like to, in discussion with people from ACOA, to submit to double our $77,000, to double that. So we're asking a contribution from them from another 77,000. So we're working on this now, and we want to submit this within the next month. For the medical center, Clare Health Center, the work on the heating system is going ahead. The heaters have been installed. There were about 40 of them. There was one that was not the right size where we wanted to put it, so we had to order another one that fitted. The electricians have started their work this week, and also the technicians for all the control systems. All of this should be finished by the end of this week, and next week we're looking at the program of the controls and start to to work with the staff to be able to use the system. Before the 1st of October, we're looking at the training of the staff, Arnold, Gary, and Vanis. This should be done during the first week of October. If everything goes well, this is all done during the work hours. There has no interruptions made.
Internally, we have been working during August and September. We've been mainly on the auditing with Grant Thornton. It's been a lot of work, and I want to thank all the staff members for all their time and effort. Concerning meetings, Ronnie mentioned Nova Scotia Department of Business. Concerning internet, I attended session opportunities on the Edge, Portland to Yarmouth. This was for mayors and wardens and general directors, CAOs for the town of Yarmouth and representatives of Portland, Maine, to look at different items. There was one session for CAOs, and John Jennings, the manager of the city of Portland. We will have other meetings later, further on. A lot of discussion concerning the ferries and pre-clearance in customs and what that would mean for Portland and for us. Also, we had a good discussion on internet, on what on the importance it has for them in the evolution of Portland as a city. This allowed us to position ourselves as an innovating center. Their base speed is 50,000 megabits per second, and we are not up to 5. This gives a certain perception of where we are in that area compared to them. Waste Check Committee meeting on the 12th of September, 13th of September, Nova Scotia Fire Services. That was a good discussion. We dealt with 3 themes: funding, standards, and organization. We noted the absence of laws and standards for in the level of service and equipment. There's really no standards. OMAS Consulting has been hired to do consultations, and they will be producing a report later in the year. The Weymouth Doctors Recruitment Committee, we are discussing with the Major Point Road concerning the development of a road there. We met on the 14th of September, and discussions are ongoing. I met the administration board in St. Bernard concerning the fire hall in St. Bernard and possibilities for financing. There was a misunderstanding, but they now understand the situation, and we will continue working on what can be done to the building and etc. On the 19th of September, I met the doctors at the medical center. This was a follow-up on a discussion earlier this summer concerning how to improve the operations and perhaps reduce expenses and achieve greater efficiency without reducing services. This was a good discussion. It was not a very long meeting. we're moving ahead on these questions, and the contracts with all the doctors have been renewed. The auditing committee met on the 19th of September, that was this week, and meetings which are upcoming. I think we will be meeting tomorrow. Nova Scotian Health Authority Stakeholder Group. I think it's tomorrow evening, but this hasn't been confirmed for the time. EMO, there was a provincial evaluation. Marc Doucet and I will be meeting the provincial evaluator on the 26th of September to evaluate our plan. There's the annual meeting of the REN in Yarmouth on the 28th of September, the MA regional meeting. This is municipal administrators, and that will take place here. And the 29th of September, the Highway 101 Task Force, which will meet in Digby. That is my report. Are there any questions? No questions? I had something to say, but it must not have been very important. We move on to item 10, committee reports. Building permits report. Danny, do you have a report? .3 Police Advisory Committee. The committee met on the 12th of September, last Monday, with myself, Councillor Hector Thibault, and 3 members of the public, and Sergeant Holmes. I won't go into the details. How can you, what do you call that, what the main events during the year, because there were 59 checkpoints at various locations in Clare, so they're fairly alert. They caught a number of impaired drivers, 6 this year compared to 8 last year, 33 speeding charges to date. People caught with using telephones, 10 this year compared to 8 last year. So they are on the road. You see them more than usual. They caught a number of minors with 4-wheelers, and they had to pay fines. This year they will go to L'Université Sainte-Anne to talk to the international students who have cars in order to explain how things work. Sometimes they don't have insurance, they don't have license plates, so these explanations will be provided. The property crimes have gone down compared to last year, 79 last year, 51 this year. Thefts compared to last year are down by a half, 29 last year, 15 this year. The
guy that they caught last year is still in prison. That will reduce a lot of the crimes. Also, another subject is that they met in Digby for meetings to discuss Digby, Clare, Yarmouth, GR. There will be another discussion held this fall, so the discussion on this item will continue. And finally, the Grand Fund, though, that will be held this Sunday on the 25th. There will be 2 members of the police force that will be present to help. So that's in general what are from these. Are there any questions for Neil? Now to go to 11. 11.1, motion to approve the audited financial statements. Somebody wants to do this? Who said? I move that the municipality of the District of Clare approve the 2015-2016 audited consolidated financial statements for the municipality of the District of Clare as prepared by Thornton and as presented to the audit committee on September 19, 2016. Any discussion on this motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. The motion carried. 11.2, motion to amend the bylaw number 12 respecting dogs. Would you like to do this? Is just to say that the bylaw committee met a few times during the summer to revise the bylaw and add certain things in discussion with our lawyer. So, Brian, do you have anything? I'd like to add that she consulted the public for feedback on certain items, and we had asked 5 people from the public to put ideas on paper for our lawyer, and I hope the public will be satisfied with the new version of this bylaw. So essentially, this is the first reading. We need a motion to start the process. I move that the municipality of District Clare read bylaw number 12, amendment number 1201 2016, a bylaw respecting dogs, and that the bylaw be read for the first time by title only. Seconded by Lucien. Is there any discussion on this motion? Maybe you can explain the process. Now that the motion is passed by council, the bylaw will be rendered public on our website and also in our social media, and also we will announce it in the Courier and the Clare Shopper, so people can also come here and get a copy at the municipality. We'll have copies for people who want to read it, and we hope that we can pass this at the next meeting of council. That will take into account the information that we receive from the public. I would like to second the motion, but I'd like to thank all the people of the committee who have worked on this with a lot of patience. We're meeting with the public, and I think it's going ahead, and I know how much the committee has worked on this question. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. 11.2, motion to amend bylaw number 9, and amendment number respecting noise. It is essentially the same thing that I said regarding the bylaw for dogs. There's a committee has met during the summer to do revisions concerning this bylaw regarding noise. So this is what we propose to you this evening. Somebody want to make the motion? Michelle? I move that the municipality of the District of Clare read bylaw number 9, amendment number 0901/2006, a bylaw respecting noise, and that the bylaw be read for the first time by title only. Somebody who seconds this? Seconded by Hector. Is there any discussion on this motion? This will be the same process as the dog bylaw. It will be put in social media on our voice, and we invite public to offer their comments regarding this bylaw. Is there any other discussion? I think it's okay to have it announced at FIFA also. We could, yeah, if you wish so to do so, then you can reach more people. I think the people who know that they have an opportunity to talk about this, the better it is. Is there any other discussion on this motion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. 11.6 motion to contribute to the cultural hub project. It's just to offer a bit the reason we're not presenting this evening, because we did not have a chance to consult with the group to constitute a dossier and have something written, but we still have the intention to do this, but we have not had time to do this yet. So if we can communicate with the group, we'll present this at the next meeting. Are you okay with this? And also it was 5,000 contribution of to $5,000 by grants to organizations. This was a motion by the committee to recommend to council, and these motions are recommendations, so it's not necessarily official until council adopts them. Then motion to, if we had a meeting, we have a flexibility to employees in relation to their pension. The way the contribution, municipal contribution, is administered, and following the discussion with the company that is administering the pension fund, and also another person, RBC, they told us the same thing, that we should allow more flexibility to the employees to decide how their contribution, the municipal portion, is administered, in what we invest these, which would allow the people to invest according to their personal financial. The two persons we consulted told us the same thing basically, and discussing with the Department of Finance what we propose for you tonight is a official motion allowing us to do this to the employees who want to choose how their money is invested. This will be done in conjunction with the firm who will administer their funds, and those that wish to keep the status quo, they can also do this. It is up to them to decide. I agree with the principle. The only thing difficulty is the way the motion, the way it's written. I think it's, if there's a reason why it's written this way, if the municipality gives a certain flexibility, it is not defined how it's done. Maybe it would be better if the municipality would give the employees their flexibility, so then the CEO could modify it if need be. Would you repeat this? Yeah, I'll repeat it in English. Is there any discussion on this motion? To see if you're all clear on the motion that has been proposed.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.6, motion to contribute to the Cultural Hub project. I spoke on this earlier this evening. This is to allow us to go ahead and develop our application to ACOA for financing. We discussed at our earlier meeting a motion that would allow an investment of up to 50% of the cost. At the same time, it's understood that we will make an effort to reduce the municipal investment by applying for funds from the province. But we have to get the ball rolling, and we ask you to support this motion. I move in English that the municipality of the District of Clare contribute up to 50% of the cost related to the Cultural Hub project, up to a maximum of $100,000. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Contrary? Carried. Motion to grant a formal right-of-way. This is for Mr. Richard Timot and Madame Francine Timot on Third Lake in Meteghan. They use a road to arrive close to their land, and they walk to their road. What they are asking for is a right-of-way from the municipality to build a road from where they park, which is not very far from our pit, to their land. It's understood that if we decide to adopt this motion, other persons who would have a similar request could continue the work. So we wouldn't be creating individual rights of passage all along. I'm completely in agreement. We discussed this in committee, and this would be in the agreement that we would establish with them. And it's up to them to prepare the documents by their lawyer. We will have our lawyer check them, but the emphasis, the major costs will be borne by the Timots. Roussel, I move that the municipality of the District of Clare grant a formal right-of-way to allow Mr. Richard Timot and Mrs. Francine Timot access to their property located on Third Lake in Meteghan. Is there any discussion on the motion? If there being none, all in favor? Against? Carried. 11.8, motion to transfer funds from the Capital Reserve Fund. Once again, this is following on our meeting for the extension of the sewer system in Meteghan. The original plan we would ask for financing from the Municipal Finance Corporation to finance our part. Given that we have good reserves, the decision has been following on the discussion by the council to finance our contribution with money we have in reserve. So the motion is to transfer funds from capital reserve and this would allow us to send notice to the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board that we will not be going ahead with our loan application. Danny. Seconded by Hector. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor? Against? Motion carried. 11.9, motion to appoint auditors for 2016-2017. This is fairly straightforward. Neil, I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare appoint Grant Thornton as the municipality's auditors for fiscal 2016-2017. Seconded by Roussel. Discussion. All in favor? Against? Carried. 11.10, Hectanuga Fire Department. I can begin. I was approached by Ralph Saunier of the fire department. The group is in the process of looking at building a new fire hall. As you know, they are on land which is rented. One of their members will provide land for a new construction. Ralph came to see us for us to present this to the council to advance the project. There is a process to follow. We have an investment plan over 5 years, and there are a number of other projects which have been judged as having priority, but I will agree to present this idea to the council that the group is trying to go ahead with this project. They supplied a design. This is something very similar to what we have in Salmon River. This is for discussion at this point, and I spoke twice to them, and I said we have a number of priorities, but we have no problem with advancing this project as one among many, and it will be up to the council as part of its 5-year capital expenditure plan and we will decide what the priorities are. I'm not sure if there's a motion to be made on this. This is a point of information. Is there further discussion on this? There being none, we go to .11, letter of support for Upper Clements. Neil, we are applying for the 150th anniversary of Canada, and this is what we need is a support letter from the municipality as well as Digby and Annapolis. We need a support letter to make this application. So if we could send a letter of support from us for the application that will be made for Upper Clements Park. Do you have details on the letter? There are things that they will be talking about. A unique wooden roller coaster, a kayak true barn, the trail, historical and cultural background in English. These are the things that they will be set up in the park and which will be educational. Do you have a sense for the scope of this project? I'm not sure how much they're asking for. It doesn't say, but I can find out. It doesn't sound like a big project. It's not a major application. Do you want to support in principle and the only problem I would have in that they say it's a priority. But if it's one project among others, Upper Clements is important for recreation in the southwest. I will have them, I will ask them to send more details, but in principle we can adopt a motion to write a letter of support, but we need more details before we do so. We will be perhaps making our own application, so we don't want to be in competition. Do you want to make a motion which is specific that we want to give authority to Stefan to do this? Brian?
If it's something that it's not pressing, can we do this for next year? I think there's a date, an email deadline, so I think that's why he sent me an email, but I don't know what it is. I think it might be at the end of the month. I'm gonna give him, I will answer him and we try to get more details. I agree that we give permission to the warden in consultation, as long as we don't say that it's a priority for the region and it doesn't cut the initiatives that would be taken by the Société Acadienne or something. So you make a motion, seconded by Richelle. Is there any other discussion on this motion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Against, motion carried. We have no items on camera session. The date and time of next regular council meeting, it says October 19th, but law does not allow us to have a meeting on the 19th. The earliest we can have one is on the 26th. We confirmed that we should less 10 days after the election, though the earliest we can have it is on the 26th. So we could propose to have the meeting from the 19th to be reported, to be taken on the 26th, where we can swear in new members of council, and maybe somebody wants to take photos of new council, and from then we could pass on, go to the regular meeting. One of the questions, there will not be many changes but the fact, if we inaugurate but right after the assermentation, it might be too quickly just to have the items on the agenda that would be necessary. If there is nothing that is necessary, maybe it can be put back on the next one, because the swearing in ceremony would be held. So you all agree that Stefan will decide, or just include the items that would be really important or pressing before I forget to do a official presentation, and I'd like to congratulate Ruth and Bernie Boudreau, who celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, and we should give them a certificate of, I don't all agree with this. Okay, if there's nothing else, we take a motion to adjourn, proposed by Neil. Bonsoir.